Hello, everyone. I just want to continue where I picked up where I left off yesterday. I want to pick up where I left off yesterday. It's funny, I got a little sick on air as I was discussing the art of John Romita Sr. from his comic strip art. And I think Flady asked me or told me to take some broth and this and that. And I did. I had a few bowls. I had some more vitamin C, some zinc, and woke up normal. Went to bed pretty normal, and I feel normal now. If it hits me again, it hits me again. Anyway, I wanted to go through some more art of. I wanted to finish up on the Romitas Senior, the Spider-Man comic book art, and then also show a little John Romita Jr. and his father back and forth. But I was listening to EVS on his from Trashcast. Was it yesterday morning? And he was discussing the Rob Liefeld story, where about the credit for Deadpool and how he it tends to overtake credit the way I think the way Stan Lee did with Spider-Man and other heroes, and an image just shot to mind. And as he was saying that was that in the fourth issue of The Dark Knight Returns that came out in 1986, it was the first appearance of Cable, 4 years before Rob Liefeld quote unquote created him. It just it does remind me of that. I mean, he's pretty derivative. Cable right there. Pretty funny. Anyway, I'm going to go through this art. I pick up where I left off yesterday. If anyone shows up, great. We'll have a little chat. Have a little discussion here. But give me 1 second while I put this away. That was the absolute Dark Knight, which is great. Except for the fact that it has Volume 2 of Dark Knight, which is really terrible. It's unreadable. There it is. Pretty cool. Okay, so, hey, Praetor. How's it going, man? So I'm going to just pick up where I left off yesterday with some comic strip art by John Romita Sr. And again, I feel better. Thanks for those who expressed some concern. Thanks. I don't know. It just hit me as soon as I started the show. I started feeling some sniffles, and I don't know. My voice was getting a little rough. But anyway, so here's a continuation of some of the John Romita Sr. comic strip art in Spider-Man, and then I'll show a little art of John Romita Jr. as well. So I'll just keep going from here, and if you guys want to chime in, cool. So this is it. Look at this art. I mean, look at the stylization. The ink lines are fantastic. The women are beautiful. Peter Parker looks great. More handsome than ever intended to be. The way Ditko drew him, and the way Stan Lee intended him to be. But as Stan Lee said, he tried to get Romita Sr. to downplay the looks, and he couldn't quite do it, which is fine. Spider-Man ended up becoming more popular than ever after he took over. And again, this is the classic version of Spider-Man, the one that ended up being the iconic version, like the merchandise version, really, the perfect version. And again, look at this, a perfect circle there and a circle there of webs, nose mark, mouth mark, to give it a human look. It's fantastic. I will say it till the end of days. I know people might get tired of it right now, but I don't know of anyone else who brought it up. And I think it was Wingus Dingus commented on my video from yesterday about the way that the foreshortening works on Spider-Man's forearms and his boots, and the way it's like a cylinder, but he makes the web lines in the opposite way than they would be in real life, and he turns them into a more stylistic way. I did a little. Let me see if I could find it. Give me 1 second. For those who might be interested in that aspect of the Spider-Man suit and the way Romita brought a lot of logic to it, the line work, I did a video of that a few months ago. I don't know exactly how long, but months ago. And it came out. It's really good. It talks about that. It talks about that idea where the cylindrical, the symmetrical aspect of the design that Romitas Sr. brought to it, the design sense, the graphic sense, where he leveled up Ditko's design. And it's a brilliant design to begin with, but he just took it further. And I did draw something I might be able to find here. Hope it shows well on the screen for my iPad, but we'll see. Give me a second, guys. Still looking. I know it's here. Okay. Will it show well? Let's see. Hello, John. How's it going? I think it's just you guys. It'll be a small night tonight, but you know what? I don't care. People want to watch it after. Very, very cool. If you guys want to have a little give and take, cool. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to pull up the screen, a bigger screen right now. And then, okay. So this is what I was talking about, where the Spider-Man mask, and that's my drawing underneath of the John Romita Jr. drawing to show the line work where the nose and the mouth would be. And then the cylindrical nature of that arm even. And how, if you look at the two examples in the middle of the arm and that profile on the bottom, you see the way this is how it is in real life with lines placed. It looks a little limpy. And this is the stylized version that John Romita Sr. did. That one also. Look at the top one right there, the arm that I drew. That's the way it would be on a technical aspect. That's the way the lines would be going, because they're going one way only in real life, right? Well, John Romita Sr. and Jr. said, you know what? I'm an artist. I'm not bound by this kind of reality, that I'm going to make it more stylized. And then I also did this, another one. Give me 1 second. I'll show you another example. Now, this was a drawing by John Romita Jr., inked by Romita Sr., which is a fantastic Spider-Man. To me, it's the best of the best, because it's John Romita Jr. who put a little more stylization in the suit. He brought back the black parts of the costume, like it's black and red. And most artists draw it technically correct like that, right? That's his forearm or boot. I said, but this honors more asymmetry, I think that I put it. Aesthetically pleasing take. Like a cylindrical. And the bottom one as well. Incorrect, quote unquote, correct. The correct one I don't like. But that's the way it would be if it's going only one way. It's something that caught my eye many years back. I never heard anyone mention before. 1 second, guys. I'll be right there. I'll be right there, guys. Okay, let me go back to, again, I'm picking up where I left off yesterday regarding the John Romita Jr., John Romita Sr., Spider-Man comic strip art. Spambot. Maybe spammer, I don't know. I guess the name would clearly be saying that, but good vibes, I'm not sure. John says, are those originals or prints? The ones behind me? The ones behind me, if you're asking that, John, those are canvas prints of my art. Canvas. I got them done. I got the pigment done recently. I got the top one also there, and I had one of Michael Jordan. If you want to take a look quick, that one of Michael Jordan. That's a painting I did years ago, and that's an Alex Toth drawing. The Michael Jordan one I did many years ago, and it was oil-based colored pencils. So it had like an oil paint look, but I used also India ink, white paint, and some other stuff, and it really came out good. And I was very, very happy with it. Jordan's a hero of mine. I mean, he's incredible. He is the GOAT, no matter what LeBron attempts to, lay claim to. He is the GOAT. Anyway, I'm going to go through some more of this art, and anyone wants to chime in, great, guys. Again, look at this art. This is on a daily basis. He was doing this for a while, I think about 2 years. I think he was burnt out maybe because of how much he brings to it. I think that's why. He was that good. It's just so well done. So sophisticated, so classic. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That is awesome. Look at the fist. Look at the line work. The angst in Peter's face. Again, this kind of work, this kind of line work there. The line work there, of course, the nose, the mouth, around the knuckles, it goes that way. The finger joints, look at that. That way, that way. The knuckles there, and then the fingers, look. They go one that way, and these goes that way. I'm not sure if many artists pay attention to that. Stormtrooper Julius Caesar, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Kobe was the closest we had to Jordan because, one thing about Kobe, the standard was this. He said, okay, who's the best? Who is more or less my size, and who can I model myself after? Of course, it was Michael Jordan. I know he loved the Lakers. I know he loved, Magic Johnson and all that, but he understood. Okay, that's a standard, right? If that's the standard, what can I do to match it? And he got pretty goddamn close. He got to the finals 7 times. He lost twice. He won 5 rings. This idea that LeBron has even surpassed Kobe is a joke. That's just pure, in-the-moment propaganda. Let's see, poor cunt. She thought she was Gwen from... Yeah. Okay. That's, I think, Caroline. It was probably a comic strip creation. A beautiful blonde. Salty Traveling Sea says, boss dropping the deep artist point of view like a boss. Thanks, man. I do appreciate it. I just love this stuff, and it helps me become a better cartoonist, that I can identify certain things. Look at this. Again, this line work is fantastic. It's strong. It's a master at play here. The balance of black and white. Look at this. It's beautiful. And Peter, he looks like a movie star. Poor cunt. LeBron can't hold a flame to Kobe. Absolutely not. And the idea that, again, he has surpassed Kobe, give me a goddamn break. Kobe, hello, Lux. Kobe also, one thing. LeBron is an arrogant SOB, right? He says that right there may be the GOAT about the championship where they beat what do you call it, the Golden State Warriors. That's a joke. Where is Kobe? In a posthumous video that was shown in the Last Dance. Great basketball series. If anyone likes basketball and you haven't seen it, you got to watch it, guys. The Last Dance, about the Bulls 1998 championship, but it covered a lot more than that. I was going to say, so Kobe's on there, and he's talking about how guys come up to him. Come on, Kobe, you could take Mike. He goes, whoa, 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 whoa. If there's no Mike, there's no me. And I don't care for fake humble. I just care for a guy recognizing reality. I can't stand fake humble. I can't stand, arrogance either, but fake humble I can't stand. Kobe knows his worth. He knew his worth. Unfortunately, had that horrific accident. My God. But anyway, the guy knew his worth and still was acknowledging, like, hey, man, if there's no Mike, there's no me. And then you realize after he died, when Jordan was at that event to honor Kobe, Jordan's talking and he's just, shredding tears down his face. Michael Jordan, the great Michael Jordan, and he's talking about how they were like brothers. No one really knew that. I love that. I love that the media, the whores in the media like ESPN, didn't know that and didn't broadcast it and talk about it. No one knew that. No, people knew that they were friendly, but no, they were close. He called him like a little brother. And Kobe calls him up 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And Jordan's like, come on, man, And he goes, okay, look, I need some advice. My daughter is doing this and that in basketball. What can I? He goes, how old is she? 13? He was like, 13? The idea was that he's, pushing her too hard. It's fucking hilarious. But Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. It's not even close. Kobe's right there. LeBron, I wouldn't even say top 5. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. You got Bill Russell. You have Larry Bird. He's fantastic, Larry Bird. Larry Bird will. I mean, that guy was incredible. And I read all these, biographies of Jordan and Larry Bird and all these players. I'm not crazy about Magic Johnson. I just don't like his attitude. I think he's a fake, phony fraud. I really do, with that pathetic smile. That's such a fake smile. He was plus he was a whore, cheating on his wife, and he paid a price for it. But the guy was clearly a good player. No doubt about it. Yeah, Flady. 1 second, guys. Okay, Porkon says, besides Ditko and the Romitas, do you have any other Spider artists you're fond of? Rick Leonardi comes to mind. Ron Friends. I'm trying to think. Rick Leonardi, Ron Friends. I did like Steve Scroce, if that's how you pronounce it, for that short run that he had. It was very good. Who else? I don't know. McGinnis is pretty good. Ed McGinnis, and he uses the basic setup that Romita set, with the nose line, mouth line. But it's also funny, guys, if you notice. Some guys do that. They do the 2 lines, but they fuck up. You know how? Romita Jr. was clearly just placing the face lines, right? And then he put the nose mouth and the nose mouth for the line for the webs. McGinnis sometimes puts the nose line down here and the mouth line down here. So I don't think he understands the principle of why Romita did it. I still appreciate the fact that he tries to simplify the web lines, because I can't stand when they have the really limpy lines with a whole load of lines. It's so consistent. Big eyes, 1 page, small eyes, another page, and so on. I can't stand that. Give us a sense of something that's real in that, in the fantastic world, at least. Give us a sense of it. The ones that come to mind, Rick Leonardi, who I loved his fill-in art. It was 251? No. 253, 254, I believe. It was with, what was it? The guy, Jack-o'-lantern, and someone else. And then there was a football corruption deal going on with the NFL. And Ron Friends, I mean, I resented Ron Friends at first. I was like, damn, he ain't no John Romita Jr. And he's not. But he did some good stuff. I liked his stuff. He brought a little Ditko back, into it. Let's see. Flady says, hope you're feeling better. You sound better. I do, Flady. And thanks for, I'm not sure if I would have taken the broth if you didn't mention it. I'm a little absent-minded like that sometimes. But thank you, because I had 2 bowls last night. I took some more vitamin C. I took some... zinc, and put a little garlic in the soup and a little salt, and went to bed feeling okay. Woke up normal as of right now. It's like it never happened. So thanks for the heads up. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for looking out. And Flady also says, got a mountain of $1 comics this evening from my local shop. Very, very cool, man. I hope some of them are really worth it. Even that $1, believe it or not. Some comics aren't even worth $1. Hopefully you got some good stuff. Porkman says, notice Kanye went full Kirk Lazarus. I mean, that guy. Look, I understand. Free speech is great, right? But this animal was just throwing shit out there just to get it out there. Like, look, I can say it. Yeah, you can. You idiot. You get no respect. You get nothing. And also, let's be blunt. He's going after hard targets? No, he's going after Jews. He's going after stupid stuff. He's saying, I love Hitler. Hitler's fresh, right? He starts talking about Muhammad. He starts going after jihadists. Okay. All right. Yay. I'll start giving you some props. Until then, fuck out of here. Dummy. Salty Traveling Sea said, LeBron got P. Diddled allegedly. Look, man, LeBron's on record, on film, with P. Diddy, saying, there's no party like a Diddy party. That's a bad look, man. That is a bad look. And if you understand, he seems to be a little more quiet after that came out. Piece of crap. Flady once said, Larry Bird doesn't get enough props. 100%. I think it's a simple fact that he's white. I got to say it, because even when he was playing, he got trash talk about being white. Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, he wouldn't be that great if he wasn't white. That's just, the guy was a monster. absolute hardcore monster. And the players in the NBA know it. There's one scene also, one scene as if it's a drama movie, but it was the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals where the Bulls eked out a win against the Pacers, who were their toughest opponent that they had, I think, flat out in the years that they were playing, more so than in Western, because they took them to a Game 7. Jordan never went to the finals in Game 7s. He always closed them out in 5 or 6 games. But the East Conference was really tough that year. And why was it tougher than it ever was for the Pacers, I think? Reggie was doing his thing, right? The old players, the twins and all that. Who was the coach? Larry Legend Bird. Larry Bird. He pushed them as far as it possibly can go. And the Bulls just did it. And at the end, you see Larry Bird and Jordan walking up to each other, hugging each other. Right? You know, they are friends, but they start cursing each other. You motherfucker, you fucking piece of... It's hilarious. It's just hilarious. You know, friends can do that. Trash each other hardcore. But Larry Bird, all-time great. Yeah, Karl Malone was, you know, he was great, but he got his ass kicked in those finals, man. And that's a tough one, man. That is a tough one. But, you know, Jordan, he, you know, they say he stopped everyone from winning. Not everyone. You know, there were people who won before him and after him, but when he was on that roll, no one's going to stop him. Once he figured out how to win, that's it. It was over. Hill, Toxic Dust 13. Porkon says, I wish Leonardi had been regular on Spidey. Loved his man. I love the 2009 version also. That was a legitimate legacy character type take. We're talking 100 years later, right? And Peter David and Rick Leonardi and Al Williamson doing the inks, if you remember. That was great. That was great. Awesome. No one else could do Cloak and Daggers. No, nobody. He put them on the map. It was, you know, I think Bill Mantlo, and I think he wrote it. And Rick Leonardi and Terry Austin inked that for a nice chunk. Without that art, I don't think so either. The characters weren't worthy of that kind of, you know, the staying power. They just didn't have it. I also have a soft spot for Andrew. Yeah, I preferred Andrew over Gil Kane. Gil Kane is a little too preoccupied with weird, muscular drawings and poses. Just a little too much. He was at his best, I think, when Romita inked him. And look at the issues of Gil Kane that he drew when Romita didn't ink him. And you try to tell me that it was as good. It just wasn't. But Ross Andrew was good. And I believe he drew the Superman vs. Spider-Man comic. And he did a real good job on both. Porkon says that he preferred Friends on Thor. That was his Mount Rushmore. You know what? I read that years ago. Again, I got this. I'm locked into this, right? Simonson's Thor is my Thor. That's it. But I did like some of those issues, and I might have to revisit it. And I even though I love Jeremy Jr., it was tough to me to even, you know, embrace his Thor with Dan Jurgens. Or someone called him recently Dan Gergens. I think it's Dan Jurgens. Fleety One says, mostly Sergeant Fury and Marvel Saga. Yeah, Marvel Saga, I remember that. And okay, I do remember Marvel Saga. I like that. And mixed batch of Wolverine and some Top Star. I remember early Wolverine, after the series began, I don't know what issue it was, but it was maybe in the 40s, 50. Warren Ellis and Lionel, what's his name, guys? It was his first series, Lionel. He's still drawing comics today. Dead, it was called something Dead. It was really good. Toxic Dust 13, Bird vs. Magic. Yeah, it was great. Great rivalry. Porkon says Kane's best Spidey were the 6 Arms issues. He did do that with Morbius, excuse me. Toxic Dust 13, that was basketball. Friends' Black Galaxy Saga was gorgeous. That's with the Thor, Porkon, right? I do remember that. So I'm going to keep going, guys. If you want to chime in, great. Thanks for the give and take. Again, look at this. You know, as I was saying yesterday, and I think it was Wingus Dingus who mentioned it on the comment section in yesterday's video. The cylindrical aspect here, he's like, okay, these lines on a technical level, when he's standing a certain way, they're going to go this way, opposite. But it looks limpy. It looks weak. So Romita, knowing, being the artist that he is, says, no, I'm going to make him look tight and strong. And I don't care if it's not realistic per se. I love that. Whereas a guy like Alex Ross will take pains to make it the correct but limp way. I don't like that. He's too bound by quote-unquote reality. Mrs. Carruthers, hail CG King Faustin, hail chat. Thank you, Mrs. Carruthers. Appreciate it. I'm honored to be part of that group, man. Big time. Big time. Wingus Dingus says, I love how grumpy-looking Peter's face could get when Gil Kane was drawing him. Did he do that a lot with the brows, furrowed brows and all that? And look, man, the guy was a dramatist. He really was, and he was. But those poses sometimes, some work pretty cool, I do admit. Some are like, okay, that's just you fucking around now. You're just trying to do something different than they did the last panel. I get it. But, you look at those early Ditko ones, those poses were second to none. His poses were arguably better than Romita's. I mean, Romita was relatively pedestrian and stiff-like compared to Ditko. That's why, to me, the ideal of Spider-Man comics, and if I ever get the opportunity, I won't, but as I've said this before, if I ever get a shot, and I might even do it on my own, I might even just do it on my own and not sell it, but just send it out there, is a story of Spider-Man with the mindset, I will keep it in mind, that it's as if Ditko penciled it and John Romita Sr. inked it with the black and red costume. Meaning it has all the quirkiness of Ditko, all the one-of-a-kind poses and everything, but with the stylization of Romita. That to me would be the ideal. And they just miss each other by an issue. They just miss each other by an issue. It's crazy. Where maybe he could have come in there because Romita started, he penciled those first two issues of, it was 139, 140 with the Green Goblin. And Mickey Dimio, if that's how you pronounce it, inked it. It was okay, the ink. And it still had a little look of Ditko, but you could tell. There's some images of Spider-Man in the last year that Ditko was drawing, and he had the similar thing that Romita was doing, but I think it was by accident because it wasn't consistent. It was in a further drawings where Spider-Man wasn't as large, and you could see the nose line and mouth line. Whether that was on purpose, I don't know. I don't think so. Wingenzinger says Kane's Spider-Man head could get really egg-shaped sometimes, especially when Romita Sr. didn't ink it. Especially. That's what I'm talking about. When Frank Giacomo, I hope I'm getting it right, I don't know. When he inked it, you could tell, okay, this is not the same artist almost. Of course it is. But Romita Sr. brought that finish. That it was he was the art director for years also. He was making sure that these characters looked the best that they could look. Showing Spider-Man's strength again. And again, Jim Shooter plotted these uncredited, and Stan Lee wrote the dialogue. And Romita Sr. Penciled and inked a lot of them, but penciled a number of them. And the line work again. Again, the nose line, mouth line, jaw line. Those first three web circles. It's almost always consistent with Romita's. Look at this also. It's fantastic. And it was a great comic strip. I mean, first of all, it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. And look at that, guys. It's fantastic. Fantastic. That's not inked by Romita Sr., but the guy did a good job. Biggest thing is you're talking about Peter Parker here? If so, yeah, it is great. I mean, and again, this is not from the comic strip. This is from one of the issues of Amazing Spider-Man. Look at the beauty of Gwen Stacy and Romita. He only got better and better in terms of making these women like stunning glamour actresses from Hollywood. Look how beautiful she is. Beautiful. Nobody drew her more beautiful. And again, look at this. Again, that goes that way, goes that way. I know it sounds like everyone does it. Not everyone does it. Sometimes people just make the lines whatever, haphazardly place it. And again, nose line, mouth line, and then he's looking up a little, so he has that extra chin line, even though it wouldn't be that way, technically speaking. On the mask, the way you could tell is in the movie version, the current movie version Spider-Man suit, it has the Romitas Senior style with the eyes, with a thicker on top, and with the line work. And sometimes when some ads I saw, they get it all wrong. They put the lines way too low, where it looks like he's like really off looking. But that's the principle. That's what they picked up on. And again, look at these women. They're just stunning. Man of action. So yeah, those first 38 issues of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and the 3 annuals that Stan Lee and Ditko did, and Ditko again, at least from issue 10 on. So for about 31 issues, including the annuals, he was plotting, penciling, and inking every single issue. And Stan Lee, he slapped on the dialogue. And it's not just, I don't mean to diminish him with that, but the dialogue was good. I'm not sure if Ditko would have been a good dialoguist for Spider-Man, considering his Mr. A work and stuff. Honestly, he's not that good a writer. Way too repetitive. Just too much. He's giving philosophy lessons to criminals in alleyways. In this life, you must understand right from wrong. You don't give scumbag criminals who you're kicking ass, because you are at that point, you are far past the point of communication, persuasion. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to stick with them. I think the fact that their jaws cracked might stick with them. But, and again, this is John Romita Jr. now with Klaus Janson inking him. It's fantastic. It's great. And only Klaus can make this kind of bold, shadows and that kind of line work. It might not have even been in the original pencils. But hell, I wouldn't be complaining if I'm John Romita Jr., even if he had that, even if he did. Another Klaus Janson. And Klaus Janson tends to get a little sloppy, so he also tends to deviate from the line work sometimes, which is not good. Again, this is Dan Green inking John Romita Jr. And the cylindrical aspect of this, again, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. And the webs go that way, even though in a technical aspect, the way the suit is made, if you take a real life suit, the lines will be going this way. And they look limpy and stupid and going against the grain. This goes right along with it. And I just showed something. You know what? You guys go back, because I showed something in the beginning where I was breaking down this aspect in particular. And also, Wingus Dingus and others who might be interested, check out my video on the Romitas, how they perfected the Ditko design and took it further. I have a whole video on that, about a half hour long, where I show and tell. And I draw a number of times also on there. It has it all here. What I've been talking about. And again, the foreshortening here, because when it's that foreshortened, that means the spaces between the web lines are tighter, but it's still like that. And Dan Green added a little more flourish with those web lines, because he used a brush, and you could tell. Thin to a little thicker in the center, and then thin, and so on and so on. Look at that. The cylinder neck, the head as a cylinder. That right there. This there, around the ankles, around the calves. It's fantastic. Fantastic. This also. Look at that. Boom. Boom. Jaw. Everything here is just right. Beautiful. Aesthetically pleasing as hell. Look at this. Dan Greenick and John Romita Jr. 149. Issue 149. I remember that. And then Klaus Janson inked 150. He jacked up the cover. He gave Spider-Man 5 more lines on the face than he needed. Even this, the hand stuff, those lines, perfect. And again, you see that? The cylinder, the line work there. He learned from his father. And he took it a little further. He stylized it a little more. He made Spider-Man a little more built. He gave him bigger feet. He gave him just more of a, I guess, athletic build. and a little less. Romitas Senior could be a little stiff when it comes to the Spider-Man poses, because Spider-Man's supposed to be like a more of a bouncing character. He was a little more heavy, the Romita version. So Romita Jr. had a little more lightness to him. This is great stuff, man. Look at this. I love the highlight around the body also. It was really done back then, but it looks beautiful. Now it's done with colors, mainly do that. And it's also just great. This is John Romita Jr. from the Marvel Handbook, of the Handbook of the Marvel Universe, I think that's what it's called. John Romita Jr. did this, penciled it, and Joe Rubinstein inked it. It's great. It's great. John Romita Jr., X-Men. I think at the time that he was drawing it. I guess that's a commission. That's what it looks like to me. John Romita Jr., I think it was X-Men versus Avengers, the second, series years after the first one, that Mark Silvestri drew, and then Keith Polar drew, which was such a letdown. Keith Polar was, a good artist. He was serviceable, but compared to Mark Silvestri, it was a tough letdown. Wing Singer says Klaus Janson has such a cool quality to his ink lines. Yeah, there is no one like Klaus. There really isn't. I think he can be a little sloppy at times, but damn it, he can be really good at times as well. And he's not as good of a penciler, but there are some comics, like a Star Wars comic he did, which was really good. Punisher, I didn't care too much about it when he pencil inked it, but there was some aspects of it that were good. And he's an all-around artist. Miller, in his last number of issues of Daredevil, was just laying down layouts. And Klaus penciled, inked, lettered, and even colored those issues, which is awesome. Lady One says, and also scored a couple of 11x14 comics from the early 70s. Would love to see them come back as well. Yeah, that's a nice size. I remember the Treasury editions, which were fantastic. They had it for Marvel. They had it for... okay, I think that's right, Pork Hunt. Star Wars Annual number 2, right. It was good. It was a good story. Joe Duffy, I think, or I might be mistaken. Wing and Stingers, there was a Batman Gothic thing he did, which was pretty cool. I think, yeah, Grant Morrison and Klaus Janson. But again, he's not the best when it comes to bodies. He's very good with objects and structures and buildings and cars and atmosphere. He's very good with that. And when he inks John Romita Jr., I think he's particularly good because he said something about John Romita Jr., which I mentioned in one of my live streams recently, where he said his perspective is so good about John Romita Jr. And I never heard him say about anyone else, so I think he really, it stood apart to him at least. Danny Mickey, or I think this might be John Romita Jr.'s pencils directed directly to color. I believe that's what it looks like to me. That was for Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, something. Not that good, man. It was supposed to be like a future version of Batman. It was all over the place, man. I don't know. The guy can be, I don't know, off. Scott Snyder. He talks about depression also, and I see some of it. Look at this Iron Man. Look at this John Romita Jr., late 70s, Bob Layton inked. That's fantastic. That's a powerful pose. Big hands, wide legs, looks like metallic, the shine. Great stuff. And again, I think people give Bob Layton too much credit for the look of Iron Man back then. And the finish, sure. But when it came to the movements, the body of Iron Man, look at the issues that John Romita Jr. didn't draw in that early runs, because he drew it from 115 to 129, and I think came back issue 140 and left at a certain point, and it was great, and he got better and better. But the issues that he didn't draw, you could tell there's a little lacking there in terms of the power of the movement of Iron Man, the way he flew. Even the mask at times. I mean, Bob Layton had it down, but Romita Jr. at his best, even when he was young, he was just doing more or less pencils and some layouts. That's another cover also. I think that was one of the editions of the Demon in a Bottle, which was great. Yeah, this is older. A Bob Wyacek inked Romita. Okay, this is interesting also. This is art by John Buscema, pencils by John Buscema, and inks by John Romita. And I believe this was like a comedy thing for the old romance comics so they changed the dialogue and stuff. But I didn't give a shit for that. I just looked at the art and said, wow, look at this. John Buscema penciled, John Romita Sr. inked. Two absolute masters historically. Look at this. I mean, beautiful. Just beautiful art. Look at this, guys. I mean, you get romance comics and you get by these two masters. I'll read all of them. I don't care. And I'm not even crazy about romance comics. The ones that I read mainly were the ones that Alex Toth drew. And he liked them because he said the drama, the challenge to make it interesting. It's just people talking and, if you can do that, if you can pull that off, you're a damn good artist. This is an early John Romita Jr. Cover, 1978. Not that good. I just like to place it here. You can still tell a little. The big hands, you can tell. That's very stiff Iron Man. But still, I just like it for posterity's sake. To have it in my files. John Romita Jr. Ultimate Vision. This was Captain America when he was gone for a number of years in that run that he did. This was Plastic Man, which it was an interesting issue of one of those series, The Dark Days, The Forge. Danny Mickey inked it, and this was Plastic Man, and Batman was talking him up like he's a real threat to Plastic Man. It was pretty interesting. That setup was interesting. Okay, so Porkon says, yes, Joe Duffy, right. She wrote the Star Wars. Her Star Wars writing was excellent. I like her final run on that title with Cynthia Martin's art. Yeah, I never saw Martin's art on a title after that. Me neither. I remember her though. She was pretty. She was like a Steve Lee Loho, Steve Lee Loho style. I don't know what it was about it. Maybe even Lee Loho inked that or something about it. Open, simple, clean storytelling. Porkin says, "What is up with the arms and legs of Iron Man? That is, can those parts be armor when the muscles are so well defined?" I know. They take liberties, man. It wasn't until later on when they started to take the Iron Man suit into consideration. But Wingenzinger says, the Asera of Iron Man is the coolest he's ever looked, in my opinion. I love that. But I got to say, when John Romita Jr. came back, because John Romita Jr. had 3 runs in Iron Man. Late 70s, 1980, 81, I believe, and then 90s with John Byrne writing. And there was a time where the artist was getting actually I would say elevated, but the artist was getting elevated to the point where I think they were trying to compete with Image, because Image did their thing, right? And then like, oh shit, let's just give some artists, instead of giving them more money, or let's just put them above the writer. So it says penciled by John Romita Jr., written by John Byrne. They gave him the hierarchy was that the artist was more important. That was Marvel trying to placate the artist to not let them leave, and that's such a stupid way to do that. Just give them the credit that they're due. The writer is the initiator of the thing. He's the writer of the story. He should go first because the writing comes first. But, that was their way of trying to compete or trying to discourage people from going to Image. Flayed One said, love the Iron Man with the shoulder blades. Yeah, that was cool. But the John Romita Jr. Iron Man that John Byrne wrote, Armor Wars 2, was so damn good. So damn good. This is the Romitas, and that's how they signed it. It's unfortunate because John Romita Jr. was started to try to do the McFarlane thing, and it didn't work. It didn't work for me, at least. The big eyes, the lot of lines, and it's so funny. We are here now, 30 years later, 30 years, 40 years removed from that look, and John Romita Jr. he's about to hit 70, and he's still playing that McFarlane thing, while the fill-in artists, the ones that do it alongside him, are trying to do his father's version. It's so strange. It's very strange. Anyway, so this is Romita Jr., inked by his father. some kind of ad reading something, I guess. John Romita, Namor. This is from the Daredevil that Ann Nocenti wrote, that John Romita Jr. drew, and Al Williamson inked. It was very strange, but good. I love when they went to, I think they went to hell, and they saw Mephisto there. And Romita's version, if you recall, Romita's version of Mephisto was incredible. He took such liberties. He deviated completely from the way the character was established and just went to this lizard type being. And he got fatter and fatter and fatter, which was wild. And he was hiding in a bar as an ugly female. And Daredevil ended up kissing her, and then it was revealed as Mephisto. So, Daredevil swapped spit with the devil. Hobgoblin, John Romita Jr. sketch. I love the Hobgoblin. I know he's a derivative character, but I just love the way he was. Something about him, a little more dangerous than the Green Goblin. He wasn't insane. He was a business guy. He was a fashion designer, I think, him and his brother. And really good. It was like a better version in some ways than a Green Goblin. I know people that might be sacrilege, but I like the Hobgoblin. And he showed up again a few years ago in a few issues. I liked it. I love the character, actually. 238. The origin was by Roger Stern, John Romita Jr., inked by his father. John Romita Jr., Princess Leia. Pretty damn cool. Pretty cool. Must got some kind of convention request. John Romita Jr., Batman. John Romita Sr., a sick Peter Parker. Even that, even something like this, pedestrian like this, it's awesome. It's really nice. It's a low perspective shot. The horizon line's down here, and it just really works. It's really nicely done. Beautiful. Love it. Absolutely love it. John Porter says, crazy how the simplest part of that panel gets all the attention because of the use of blacks and lines. If you could remind me which one you're talking about, John, and I'll just check back. Yeah, John Romita Sr. drawing the black costume. Fantastic. It looks perfect. It really does. Beautiful. John Romita Sr., penciled and inked. Green Goblin, Spider-Man. And again, there were times when he did add the blacks to it, but it was almost always the case. It was the light blue version. Look at this also. Look at this. Those lines there, that there, and it's just the guy knows exactly where they belong as if it's a real suit. And look at this even. The lines, even they're going that way instead of the other way. Beautiful. Beautiful. Porkman says, what did you think of Sal Buscema and Alex Saviak Spider? I didn't like Sal Buscema's Spider-Man. I didn't like it. He was trying to do, guys, there was an editorial edict after McFarlane left that they tried to continue the popularity of that big eyes, a lot of lines look, which I can't stand. I don't like it. And one issue, Sal Buscema was drawing it on the cover and inside with the simpler lines, right? By next issue, huge eyes, a lot of lines. Clearly, it was an edict by editorial. I don't think they're doing that now because artists are drawing them however they like. They're drawing them like the Romita style. They're drawing like Ditko. They're drawing like McFarlane, whatever they feel like. But there was, and I wasn't crazy about it. I liked Buscema's characters more, like the Peter Parker and the crew at the Daily Bugle and all that. I like that. He drew a good Peter Parker. He drew a good Mary Jane. His Spider-Man I did not like. These are covers, I guess, for a foreign magazine. L'Uomo Ragno. I don't know. Hombre Araña. That's Spanish, but these are great. Look at this. Classic Romita doing these covers. It's probably a convention sketch, not as sharp as his usual work, but it's still good. John Romita Jr., probably a Wolverine comic that, yeah, I guess Wolverine number 30, yeah, that Mark Millar did. Mark Millar came out recently and said that it's the most controversial thing he's ever done, and no one else has done it before. And him and John Romita Jr. are like, okay, are you taking on Jihad? I'm ribbiting him a little, but let's see. So what he said was, I don't know. He said, Wolverine and Kick-Ass, is that controversial? I don't know. It's not to me at all. This is John Romita Sr. redoing issue 40, the cover of issue 40, redoing it. Because if you notice, he drew Spider-Man more of his classic way. Alex Saviek, I don't remember too much. Okay, maybe I prefer to Sal Buscema. He did, I think, honor the Romita version. High quality, fully detailed vinyl model set. John Romita Sr. Wolverine. And he had designed it. He had designed Wolverine. Len Wein wrote it, that issue. The editor, Roy Thomas, I think, tried to take some credit as well. He was editor maybe at that time. And then Herb Trimpe drew it in the actual comic book. I think Ethan was talking about, like, a lot of people had their hand in Wolverine, and they definitely did. You didn't get to see how Wolverine looked without the mask until later on. I think it was Dave Cockrum who did it. And then, of course, Byrne just cemented it as his version was the version, with a lot of hair on his body, which the old guys didn't do. Stormtrooper Julius here says, who added the web winglets? I always like that. If you're talking about the web pits, as I call them, Ditka. Ditka, and then they disappeared for years until John Romita Jr. brought them back in his run with Roger Stern. And they made a note of it. He goes, yes, I got my web pits back. Peter Parker was talking about in the mirror, which was funny. I love that. And it makes sense. If he wants to glide sometimes, sure, that's cool. And he used it in the movie. A little different looking, but still the principle was there that it helps him glide. This is a hell of a drawing here by John Romita Jr. And looking at the art right here, I know that Al Williamson inked the series, but that Kingpin, that face doesn't look like Williamson inks. Williamson's a little leaner in those inks. This could be a John Romita Jr. penciled and inked, because he did pencil and ink some covers. It's a very strong piece. This was the introducing Typhoid Mary. She has to kill him. She loves him. Daredevil Man Without Fear by Anna Senti, John Romita Jr., Al Williamson. And supposedly at this point, Romita Jr. left X-Men, came back, and he was getting a little. He said he was losing his interest in comics for some reason. I forgot what it was. You felt pissed. Some editors pissed him off, and also they used to resent him. They said, "Oh, he's just nepotism, all that." The guy earned his way in there. I would argue that he's a better storyteller than his father, even. Not as good a draftsman, but storytelling, he's great. John Romita Sr., look at that. Look at those mitts. I love it. Look at those mitts on Luke Cage. Look at that guy even. It's fantastic. So good. And he drew him like a black man also. He didn't try to draw him like a regular guy and leave it to the colorist to make him a black guy. No, he looks like a black guy. This is John Romita Jr. and Dan Green, I guess, in the Mutant Massacre, but a retake years later. It says here DVD. I guess this is for X-Men DVD. Interesting. And he gave Sabretooth a full beard in this one, which is also an interesting look. I love it. Strong stuff. Even Magneto pops in, which wasn't the case in Marvel Mutant Massacre, at least by that point. I don't believe. Was he? He was part of the X-Men at that point. Yeah, because it was after issue 200. Yeah, it was actually. That's okay. I don't know. Something a little off by this one. This is a recreation. John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton. And I don't know if it's old man stuff, but Romita Jr. sometimes makes those legs a little thinner than they used to be. And a little shorter. I understand the foreshortenings at play, but it doesn't look as heroic as the original. John Romita Sr. Color by Romita as well. Very cool. A different look here. I love this. I absolutely love this. Now, John Romita Jr. penciled and inked this. I guess 2002. Wow, I didn't know it was that time. But look at this. He inked this. He's a strong inker. He's a very strong inker. Porcon says, I think he said you love John Romita Jr.'s second X-Men run more than his first. I like them both. I like them both. I think he picked up some habits from Romita Sr. that I didn't like. Romita Sr. was a company man, right? Company man. He'll do whatever is required of him. A soft-spoken guy. He'll take shit. And therefore, he's like, okay, if I take over Spider-Man, I'm going to have to mimic, Ditko. No, you don't. And I think Romita thought, okay, if I'm taking over X-Men, I have to mimic Paul Smith. No, you don't. So I think he was trying to mimic him, unfortunately. Don't like that. Be your own man. Have your own style. And eventually, John Romita Jr., I think, got to the point where he made it his own style, clearly. But look at this Punisher. I think it's fantastic. Everything about it. Strong, big, huge. Look at him. He's a monster. Penciled and inked it. I think he's a very good inker for himself. Another Hobgoblin, which I think must be a favorite at convention circuit because he gets that request a lot. Even another Hobgoblin behind him. The Spirit by John Romita Jr. Interesting. Will Eisner's Spirit. A very rough Batman. I do like the way he makes the thicker ears, which I draw Batman like that myself, but here he makes him a little shorter, but he usually makes them really long, which doesn't work for me. Just way too long. Look at this, the difference between the inked by Klaus Janson and the color, what a difference that makes. And it knocked out all the line work, which I gotta say, I resent. Klaus did a lot of work in that line work, and he got knocked the hell out. I would resent that. I would. Unless he colored himself, which I doubt he did. Because that just looks more powerful as an image. I guess, Avengers by Romita Jr. After the movie came out, that's what it looks like to me. Okay, this is a very unique thing. I'm going to read a few more, and then Wingenzinger says, I always thought Romita's Punisher looked a lot like my dad. That's funny. Wow, he must be a, big guy, a rough-looking guy. Porker says, no one can successfully mimic Paul Smith. Paul Smith was great. And I do think that Romita was trying to, and they even had Bob Wyacek ink a few issues, I think, to maintain that look. And then Dan Green came in. Eventually, I think Romita got his own, he got his legs under him, started doing his own work. Yeah, Wingenzinger is knocking out that line work. It is crazy. It's a lot of work that Klaus put in. And it really just, these colors sometimes, god damn it, guys. What the hell? It looks more powerful that way. The colorist really has the power to mess stuff up. It's funny to say that, John, because Alex Toth talked about that years ago, decades ago, and said he liked to make his art color-proof. Try to make it so strong, so not needed of color that no matter how much a colorist would fuck it up, they couldn't do too much damage to it, ultimately. I love that. I love that idea. It's color-proof art. But this right here is very interesting. Look at this, guys. And it's funny. The credits here is John Romita Jr., and JLB. You know what that is? John Byrne. But I guess John Byrne wanted to add an extra initial there just to fit with John Romita Jr. This is John Byrne inking John Romita Jr., and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's so cool. It's so cool to see this. This is from Marvel Age. This is a Marvel Age comic, and John Byrne inking John Romita Jr., and it looks great. And I would have loved to have seen an issue with that. Even though I got to say, Bob Wyacek did a hell of a job, and it was Comics Kayfabe. They gave credit to Junior and that issue, and Jose Rosas, if that's how you pronounce it. Jose Rosas. Check it out, guys. Iron Man versus the Living Laser It's so damn good. It's a work of art. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And the coloring, he was like, okay, guys, I'm going to use white as a color in this. And he did. And it wasn't because he was hacking it. He placed some very smart color around the white, the explosions, and the power. Check it out. It's a beautiful piece of work. Probably the strongest issue in that series, but I love that series. Armor Wars 2 lasted about under 10 issues, and then I think Paul Ryan came in, who did a serviceable job. It continued somewhat of the look of Romita. He was trying to do that mimicry. And the story was good. It was John Byrne writing it. Now, this was an announcement that John Romita Jr. was coming back. And next issue, the long-awaited return of John Romita Jr. as regular penciler. And Bob Layton inked it, and Bob Layton was supposed to ink the comeback, and it didn't. Whatever reason, Harry Caliendo inked the next issue, and then Bob Wyacek inked Armor Wars 2. No, this was at the end of the issue that Harry Caliendo inked. And Harry Caliendo was a good inker over Greg Capullo in Quasar. And that was, look, man, say what you will about Quasar, a pretty forgettable character, but god damn it, those issues that Capullo drew, holy shit, they were great. And they got better and better and better. And there was one comic where all the major superheroes were coming in, the Avengers and him and the Hulk, and great stuff, guys. Great stuff. I guess Red Hulk cover. A recent John Romita Jr. cover. The nose is way too long there. I don't know what's going on there. But he's become famous for his rainy shots. Romita Jr. It's good. John Romita Sr. comic strip. Great stuff. Very, very cool. I like it. A low horizon line, again, just strong. Craven's on the hunt. Look at this stuff, guys. And again, there's something about his Peter Parker. Again, it's stylized, but it's like a living, breathing character, a person. That's how it comes off. Wingisdinger says, you can't even make it color proof anymore because they'll just knock out 3/4 of the black ink. I know, as a guy just did there. Damn. John says, LOL, perfectly said. Is it about the Toth thing where he said he wants to make it color proof? Yeah. He understood that they can fuck it up. Colorists. Wingisdinger says, I have that issue with Living Laser. Really amazing looking issue. It really is. It's so damn good. It's so damn good. You know what, guys? I'll show you for 1 second. Just a few glimpses at it. I hope to get a hardcover of that, or I guess if I think about it, the two things I would love to see, artist edition, is John Romita Jr., artist edition of, let's see, Man Without Fear, first and foremost. Artist edition of that. I want to see that. Personally, I want to see pencils, and then maybe the inks with Al Williamson, but the pencils alone, whew, my God, I would love to see that. And then also the Armor Wars 2, because that, I want to see that in a big, bold size. Give me 1 second, guys. And I just wanted to mention also, one more time here, I mentioned it at the offset. I heard Ethan Metzger talking about Cable and Liefeld, who basically is looking to get more credit than I think he deserves for the creation of Deadpool. And I wanted to say this again. This is the first appearance of Cable 4 years before Rob Liefeld, quote unquote, created him in The Dark Knight Returns, number 4. I joke, but god damn it. Yes or no, guys? The pockets, right? He came out a few years later. Older guy. Big. Anyway, that's how it came off to me. It really did. And then also, even more so, I think, at the end when Superman ripped off the mask. You see the belt, all the pockets, the heavy metal stuff on his arms and legs, and anyway, let me get to what I was going to mention about Armor Wars 2. I get sidetracked here, guys. Sorry. I just love this stuff. Let me get that, guys. Got Demon in a Bottle. So funny. I have the Stark Wars, and I swear to you, I was not going to reread it again because the horrific perm that Bob Layton gave Tony Stark. It was horrific. It's like you gave Tony Stark a perm. What? It was a perm with a mullet. It's unforgivable. But anyway, let me just show you quick. This incredible... I mean, check out this series, guys. It was so damn good. I'll just go through a few highlights here of the... and the color. Jose Rosas. Let me get the big screen, and then I'll come back to this, guys. 1 second. Okay. Look at this. It's a living laser versus Iron Man. He's trying to pick up that wall. And the color, look at this. White as a color. The colorists smartly used white as a color and didn't want to fill up the page and say, okay, I'm going to use that to differentiate from it. Look at that. That blast on the bottom, would it be any better if it was made of color? No. It's better with the pure white of the paper. It works. And look at this. His Iron Man is second to none. And he gave him the huge boots also, which wasn't an aesthetic choice, but I think it was great. Look at that, guys. That's powerful. And I know some people, they can't help but noodle things up. No, I got to have more things. It's confident to stand naked. The truth is very simple. You don't need to gloss it up for no reason at times. Truth is singular. Lies are plural. A lot more lines unnecessary. And look at this also. The use of white. That crackling laser. Bzzz. It's so damn good. And also just the anatomy, even just the, let me show you. Look at this. White again in that bottom part with the Kirby crackle going on there. And the way he's, the way Iron Man is standing over him, he feels he just defeated him. And then he's like, oh, shut up, Iron Man. And he goes right through his shoulder. And the way he gets zapped, you could tell it really hurt him. And then the way he collapses here. Check out the color also. Just, again, here, it's, golden red, but it's like purplish and greenish, right? Because of the lighting. And then again, it gets back to some normalcy of that rich, warmer red and yellow. And then Iron Man collapses because they took control of his body. And again, John May Jr. with the acting ability. Look. Iron Man dropping. It's so good. Again, white. Look at that. The use of white as a color. Smart. Very smart colorist. He's an artist. Great series. Armor Wars 2 by John Byrne, written by John Byrne, drawn by John Romita Jr. And let's just continue this, and I'll read a few more, guys. Flatey1 says, yeah, that was a great issue and story arc. I think that was the end of the Living Laser in the original Iron Man run. Maybe. I don't remember. Well, then again, I didn't pick up much Iron Man after that, to be honest. John Porter says, something is off in that Iron Man. What do you mean? Let me know, John. I'd love to see more watercolor in comics. It could be done well, in my opinion. Yeah, it definitely could be done well. From what I recall, Lynn Varley used gouache, I believe gouache, which you can dilute into a watercolor look, but it can also be thick and nice. And that's what I liked. When I was painting, that's what I used, gouache. It's a really nice paint. You can thicken it up, you can thin it up, you can make it, slightly transparent. It could be great. She showed that. And then, then she tried her hand at computer coloring and it bombed in Dark Knight Returns 2. Horrific. Terrible. She should have busted her ass and did her homework. She didn't, unfortunately. Miller sucked in it. Lynn Varley sucked in it. The whole thing was a complete mess. And of course, it made a lot of money because we want to see the story continued. And then part 3 came out, better than part 2. But talk about derivative. I mean, talking about Andy Kubert, or I don't know which one it was, Adam, trying to mimic Miller. There were elements of the story which were pretty good, though, and better than part 2. So, but then Miller came in and drew some backup stories. Oh my God, guys. No background, no perspective, no nothing. Figures floating in space with no crotch. Something. No hips, no crotch, legs going right up to the stomach. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. The only cool thing I remember seeing were some of the covers. I mean, the art by Kubrick was fine. It was pretty good, actually. Some of the covers were really good. Some of the tributes to the Dark Knight, Capullo had some really good ones. And then one of those backups, penciled by John Romita Jr. and inked by Frank Miller. Interesting look. It was a Green Lantern story. Flady One writes to Johnny West, I think there was supposed to be a more chunky version of the suit for spaceflight. Maybe I need to read. I'm not sure if that was the one for spaceflight. It was just the one that he had. And Romita Jr. kept expanding the boots into making them like really, big, like Elvis-sized bell-bottom boots, that went right into the boots. John Porton says, these streams are CG gold. Hey, man, John, much appreciated. I love to be part of this. Within the last year, I had a channel for a while. I only used it to showcase some of the new books that I printed. And then because of guys like Ethan and the other guys, I said, you know what, I'm going to try some of this. And I just enjoy it. And I enjoy the give and take, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Pork Hunt says, I'd love it if a crowdfunder released a comic on newsprint. Yeah, I wonder if printers will do that anymore. That's true. I wonder if they would do that anymore. I imagine some of them won't protest because if they can get it for cheaper, why not, right? For them. Dalton Nato says, Man Without Fear is my favorite John Romita Jr. work. It's right there. And again, that's the one that I want to see an artist edition for, because that's the one that I think he himself, we are now 30 years removed from that, right? And he's asked about his work, and what's his favorite? Goes, Man Without Fear. Great, John, but please try to, if that's a standard, try to do something along those lines. Don't keep drawing Spider-Man with some shit writers. Please. And release your Schmucky and Bimbo. Schmucky and Bimbo. I believe that's what it's called. Something that he had thought of. 1970s gangster fantasy something. Sounds weird, but interesting. And Howard Chaykin is doing the dialogue and maybe even doing some writing. And he's been talking about it for literally 10 years, John Romita Jr. I know he's got to make a living, but I think the guy's good enough now. He's established enough where he just take a little time off and just work on that kick-ass. And when he takes some time off, you could tell he puts a lot more into it. Like Man Without Fear. He was on his own island at that time. He was doing that for a while. And then, as he said, in the middle of it, as he's working on it, Romita Jr. says, I have a little addendum. And the addendum was the extra pages were 60 pages more. You know what I mean? So it just 60 pages more, which was awesome. Because it was originally written as a Daredevil movie. And I guess the studio, backed off. And Miller said, you know what? I'm going to write this as a comic book. And I guess John Romita Jr., because John Romita Jr. called up Miller and said, hey, I want to do a Wolverine comic. I think John Romita Jr. sometimes wants to be relevant. And unfortunately, he does things like that. He'll still do Spider-Man at times. No matter who writes it, doesn't give a shit. That's unfortunate. Even though I gotta say Scott Hanna has been inking him a lot better than he used to. A little rougher, a little more like Klaus Janson, but neater. It's an interesting blend. But yeah, Dalton, it's so good. It's really well done. And again, inked by Al Williamson is fantastic. And the consistency of the quality is great. Flady One says I think it's to John, he goes, facts. I wish I was more technically technical, logically inclined. Would love to do a clip channel of CG comics history and CG art and business instructions. Would love to see it, lady. If I could figure this out, you can. This is, to me right now, doing this, I couldn't have done this last year. Absolutely not. I just slowly figured out how I can do some the screen share, even though I can't really see how to do YouTube stuff because it has an echo. I must be doing something wrong. I'll figure it out eventually because I want to do some trailer reviews and stuff that when they come out, I want to have my initial responses with you guys and talk it through, you know. I try to have my genuine on-screen reaction. John Porton says LIFO is overrated. Oh, of course. I mean, he's not a good artist at all, and he seems like he wants way too much credit for Deadpool when other guys really put him on the map with their versions. When I heard Joe Kelly made him the wisecracking guy, broke the fourth wall, and so on. Other artists and writers did things like that. But yeah, LIFO lifted his reveal in New Mutants number 100 from Atari Force. What are you referring to there, Porcon? He also, if you recall, he did, you know, Ronin. I don't want to tell you too much about this, but he took a moment, an incredible double-page spread from Ronin, Frank Miller's Ronin, and used it in New Mutants, or X-Force, maybe X-Force, completely. And it was retarded because in Miller's version, it's a last act of someone, a last desperate act. His version was just, you know, the guy can heal, so he'll do that. Really, really stupid. And it's not just ripping him off. It's like, I don't think there's even credit on there after Frank Miller or something like it. After FM. You know, bad. Flady One says, Tony Stark, Miami Vice Edition. Yeah, man. Oh, it was so bad. So cheesy. The goddamn mullet. But I got through. I powered through. Story was fine. You know, the inking was always consistent. Mark Bright was drawing it. If I remember, Mark Bright, yeah. He drew it a little stiff. Not John Romita Jr., but still, you know, a little more than serviceable at times. Flady One said the white really shows the power of the laser at the end. Yeah, it does. Hey, Hamilton. Pop in and say, hey, absolutely. I hope you're doing well. Porcon says, were the better parts of Dark Knight 3 Miller or Azzarello? I don't know. I don't think it said exactly who did what. I don't know. I can't say. Porcon says Miller has gone older Picasso. He's gone, hey, my name's Frank Miller. Fuck you. Pay me. That's where he's gone. It's terrible. Anyone, me, you, anyone would send those shit covers that he's sending into Marvel and say, get the fuck out of here. Who are you? You know, you're not an artist. But he's getting paid a ton for it because of his name. His name, period. Hamilton says, also, since you mentioned I am enjoying your live streams when I am able to catch them. Thank you. Appreciate it. Porcon says, yeah, did you read? I did read John Romita Jr.'s Gray Area series at Image. I forgot about it. And if I forgot about it, you know, that tells you right there. I can't say mystical world, between worlds, something, the gray area. I don't remember too much. A gangster, not that good of a guy. A middle of the road gray guy. I don't know. Not that good. And when you do your own shit, when you do your own stuff, step it up a little. You know, you look at Ethan's art in his mainstream work and you look at Cyberfrog. I'm not saying that he hacked it in your work. He didn't. He put everything he had, and he inked it, which I really respect also, guys who ink their own work. But man, there's a lot of love being laid out in Cyberfrog. From the story to the drawing to the layout to everything about it. There's a lot of love there. And it's painstaking, you know, what he's doing. But it's really good. And John Romita Jr., when he's doing his own stuff, should step it up a bit. It's his baby, you know? Just step it up. Porcon says, referring to Strife for moving his master. Okay. I see. Okay. Strife, yeah, which was a twin clone of Cable, if I remember correctly. That reveal was exactly the same in the Dark Force, yeah. He's a derivative guy, ripped off people and trying to take a lot more credit and fancies himself as some great... I remember he said something a while back, and I can't get it now because my Facebook account has been knocked out. 12,000 followers just gone. Sucks. What are you going to do? But he was talking about execution, how execution's a key. I'm like, you can't be talking. You can't. He goes, who are you? I sold this many books. I said, yeah, you sold more than me. Big shit. I'm talking about art. That's what you were talking about, allegedly. Now you're talking about how many books you sell? What are you, average July? It was terrible. And then, of course, he blocked me. I think from what I gathered, John has a soft spot for him. I think he started him. But you look at John's work, you look at his, I mean, he's superior to him. You know, it's like, if that's his idol, which I don't think it is, but if it is, he's a lot better than him. A lot better. So, you know, maybe it's a soft spot. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Ethan said that he had blocked him. Maybe he unblocked him. I don't know. That he unblocked John or blocked him. I don't know the details. But, yeah. Porcon says, when was the Green Lantern issue you said Miller inked? It was not a Green Lantern issue. It was one of the backups in the Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. It was one of those issues. I don't know which one. I have the full paperback digital one. I didn't get the print ones. And it is. Let me find it. I'm not sure if I can't find it quickly, I'm just gonna keep going. But let me just try quick. And I don't know which. One second, guys. If I can't find it quickly. Holy shit, some of this art by Miller. Oof. He's in I don't give a fuck stage, which no one should ever be in as an artist. They should just call it quits. Get the hell off the stage, man. Get the hook. Get the hook. Let me see if I could find it. Quick. John Romita Jr., penciled, inked by Miller. I don't want to spend too long here, guys. I don't like when this happens on live streams. I got it. Okay. This was which issue? You know what? I got to go to the beginning of the issue to find out which issue was and then tell you and then show you a little of it. This was issue, I don't know. I don't know which issue, but the cover was this one. This was the cover of the issue of the Dark Knight 3 Master Race. It's on a digital one. It is near the beginning, probably I would say issue 3 or 4. And then here's the pencils by John Romita Jr. and inks by Frank Miller. Now, first, this is John Romita Jr. Green Lantern cover. I think Danny Nicky, if that's how you pronounce it, inked the cover of the. It's funny. There was a cover for the backup comic, and then this is John Romita Jr. and Frank Miller inks. It's very strange, but that's how Romita drew the Green Lantern. For some reason, Hal Jordan. Yeah, look at this. Romita Jr. pencils, Frank Miller inks. Interesting, huh? I never thought I'd see the day. Just interesting. See these all-time greats. And I think Romita Jr. is all-time great, even though I get pushed back by that. But what are you going to do? John Porton says, crowdfunding is supposed to give the artists more ability to take the time they need to put out their best. Yep. The book should be the best product that artists can produce. 100%, John. That's what it should be. That's the ideal. It's your baby. You got people backing you, so you got to give them their well-earned money. I mean, they paid well for it, and you better kick ass. You should. And from what I gather, I'm looking at the CG Comics, they really are doing a great job, these guys, and I'm getting to know them through their work. Gray Area says, Gray Area was like a police officer of Purgatory. I think maybe. Is that right? Or he was some kind of criminal in the, I don't know. I don't remember too much, really. Amoral Fat for 40 ounce says, I just picked up Jack Kirby's Eternals, the complete collection, trade paperback. Is it any good? I flipped through it. Art is interesting. I tried to read it, Amoral Fat. I got it. I was on a real Jack Kirby kick, and I read all of the what was it? What was it called? That whole dark side. It was a under a name. All the New God stuff. There was a name for that entire series, but I really enjoyed that. Eternals I couldn't get through too much. I think it was him trying to bring the New God stuff into Marvel after he left DC, after he came back, and I don't remember. I liked some of the art. It was interesting. Big, bold stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. Porkun says, wasn't that Green Lantern issue just Jeremy Jr. drawing Miller style? I mean, it was Jeremy Jr. drawing Miller's version of Green Lantern that he used in The Dark Knight Strikes Back, which is bad. And then Miller just chop inking it. And it looked like he inked it in, I don't know what he inked it with. Spaghetti, dipped in ink. I don't know. Crowdfunding it, yeah. Good point, John. He goes, Porkon says he was a corrupt cop that died and was tasked with policing Purgatory to redeem himself. Is that what it is? Okay. The Orion series, but it was called something else. Not the New World series, but it was called something else. I forgot the name, but it was the overriding name of the entire epic. That is in a hardcover edition. And by the way, the Orion series by Walt Simonson was good. That was good. Anyway, let me go through a few more guys, and then I'm going to get going. Thanks for being here on a Saturday. I appreciate it. Another sketch of Hobgoblin. Seems like he's doing the same pose. I guess for, what do you call it? It's okay for convention sketches. Schmuggy and Bimbo. It's so funny. So this was Romita Jr. putting the name of his future story in a Spider-Man comic years ago. 20 years ago? 30? I don't even know now. Maybe 20. So he's had that mind for a long time. See, now, I don't like this. I put it here for contrast, and the face is all lumping. There's no form to it. I don't know what's going on, John. Body's fine, the big feet and all that. I still like that. The line work is still good, the symmetrical, the cylindrical thing, but the eyes are flabby, like going down, and the extra lines for no reason. Background's good. It's a sound drawing, but I just don't like the business. Some pencils of his last 2022. I think he drew that. This is the pencils here. Okay, it's a different page, actually. Scott Hanna inking it. And I don't know why, but he gave Tombstone, like, he drew him like a black guy. And he didn't have the turned up nose like a skull. I don't know what that's about. I don't like that. This was John Romita Jr. and John Romita Sr. And this is years later, so I think his father said, hey, son, enough with that bullshit excess lines. Let me clean it up here. All right, son. He sunned him, John Romita Sr., Daredevil, that he drew for a number of issues. Look at that. Classic Spider-Man by John Romita Sr. John Romita Sr., just some advertising work, some commercial work, merchandise work possibly. This was, I believe, an ad for the comic strip. John Porton says that leg is broken about John Romita Jr. It's possible, yeah. That ankle is going to break. That's hilarious, guys. Let's see. Let's just go back. I assume you're talking about the cover to issue 1 of the revival of the Amazing Spider-Man series. That's funny, guys. The arc. Very funny. Yeah. Okay. Tombstone was always black, based on the albinos in Africa who local Africans to kill due to superstition. Lonnie, he was friends with Robbie Robertson. But I liked Sal Buscema's version. He had the flat top. He had the turned up nose, almost like a skull nose, with no meat around it. Porkon says that Romita black and white is lovely. You talking about the pencils, or the cover, or both? I do like that. Again, guys, I've learned over the years that it's not cool to like Johnny B. Jr. I don't give a shit personally, but I get such pushback. I'm like, I don't care. But man, there's so much hate against him. It's like, I don't get it. It's like he's not Rob Liefeld, guys. He's not. He knows his stuff. He just chooses to stylize at certain times. Look at this again. Johnny B. Sr.'s version of the black costume is fantastic. That even that, the perfect spider around it. It could have looked a little more rounded off at the edge, but hey, man, that's just me right here. Porkon, I agree. I like Sal's version of that. And also Sal Buscema, man. Look, the Hulk, when Joestin's a great inker, I didn't care for the inking Joestin over Buscema, over Sal Buscema in the Hulk. And then you got Jerry Tolaic, if that's how you pronounce it. He started inking it. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And at first, I was like, what the hell, man? But I love it. I look at it now. I got that whole, post Bruce Banner taking over the Hulk's body with his brain and him losing it. After Secret Wars, he comes back, gets Boomerang, and just puts him in the hospital. Good stuff, man. And Jerry Tolaic gave him a kind of more of a John Buscema look, where he looked a little more naturalistic. He wasn't as stiff as usually is Sal Buscema. And it was really good. It was really good. And then he had the Crossroads stuff, which was there. And then he came back and did, a few years later, he came back and did an annual that John Byrne, after John Byrne took over the Hulk for only 6 issues, which was unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen his Grey Hulk version, which was, he's the one who initiated it. And then, of course, it ends up with Al Milgram's hands, which sucks. But what are you going to do? Because he went off to DC. Cut it short. But Sal Buscema penciled and inked a Hulk annual that John Byrne wrote, and it was really good. It retained some of the look that he had with the Jerry Tolaic comics around the 300s, before and after, and it was strong. It was strong. I loved, to me, his Savage Hulk was probably the best when he lost his mind. Something about him, his eyes, the blackness around it, and the long upper lip and his short nose, like the Kirby style. And Jerry Tolaic gave him a little more natural body, because sometimes he made the stomach cuts that were tiny, little stomach cuts. It was very weird. It was like a six-pack was way down in the center of his stomach. It was just strange looking. Porkon says, would love a Jeremy Judah on a war comic. Hell yeah. I'd love to see that as well. Porkon says, Sal's Hulk was amazing. It was, man. And again, I just really prefer the later his run that Jerry Tolaic inked. Something about that mix worked well, and it got closer to his brother, the naturalistic quality, the movement, I don't know what it was, something more alive about it that I liked. He had a good ink line. Wingus Dingus says, I think the biggest problem with modern John B. Jr. is that he simplified his face structure to a bunch of squishy blocks, and it looks weird to me. It does. His poses are still fantastic, though. I agree, Wingus, and it's more often than not these days where he fucks up the faces. And the pedigree that he has, you would assume that he would like to step up and say, okay, I am my father's son, at least in this aspect, where my father gave a damn to make the most handsome men, the most beautiful women. And he's indifferent to that. It's not good. It's not good to be indifferent to that. Everyone has an underbite. Noses are humongous sometimes. Peter Parker's got a big broken nose. Why? That's not his look. Jaws sometimes are huge. Women don't look as beautiful, nowhere near as beautiful as they could or should. And then sometimes like, okay, wow, excellent, excellent. Some images from Superman Year One that he did for Frank Miller a few years ago. Really, really good. Really good. I think I got it here, actually, in this list. I'll should come across it here. Porkon says, Hulk isn't nasty enough. I loved Kirby's Hulk. If you read the early ones. John Porton, February 21st. the launch for Pigman. Friday on February 21st. Hulk is nasty enough. The early Hulk was nasty. The Stan Lee, Jack Kirby one. So nasty that he teamed up. He left the Avengers in a huff and came back with Namor to kick their asses. Hilarious. Porkgun says, IDW released a slipcase volume of Sal Hulk run. Wow, did they? Huh. I really enjoyed the later part of that run. They did. Very good. And then Mike Mignola took over from the Crossroads. Mike Mignola took over, and then they did the flip-flop where John Byrne left Alpha Flight to do Hulk and Alpha Flight team, and then the Hulk team went to do Alpha Flight. It was very funny. Weird. February 26th, February 21st, 21st, Friday. Travis, February 21st is on that Friday. That's the launch of Pigman. Porkgun says, did you see Jeremy Jr., Spidey, and Hulk selling issues? Selling issues? I know that Jeremy Jr. had an issue where the Hulk Spider-Man, but it wasn't a selling issue. There was one selling issue having to do with Aunt May when she discovered that Peter was Spider-Man. Porkgun, Hulk 1 to 6 is still the best. Yeah, to me, that's the Hulk. And that's the spirit of the Hulk. That's the nastiness. That's the guy. And if you can bring that back, and that's what John Byrne was shooting for, unfortunately, he left early. Morning, Alistair. Let me keep going, guys, and then I'm going to get going. I just wanted to go through this. I got a lot here, so look at this. Classic. Absolutely classic. 1 second, guys. I want to see where we're at. I got a lot to go, so I don't think I can go through them all. I'll just do it next time, I'll do some more next time. Okay. I'm going to stop at the part that I told you before about the Superman. Some of the Superman images were really... He took a lot of care in the faces and the bodies, and you'll see the difference between his deadline style, as he calls it. But John, you know better. You don't got to make those faces so ugly. Not everyone's a Punisher. His Superman sometimes, like, what the hell, man? Is that the Punisher with a Superman suit? What are you doing with the big broken nose of Superman? Doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. That's a pretty thick Spider-Man by John Romita Sr. Clearly it was for some kind of merchandise thing, but damn. Some more merchandise. Look at this. Fun stuff. Spidey Super Stories, like I guess for a younger audience. Look at that Thor by John Romita Sr. Look at that. Fantastic. So fun. Spider-Man, perfect. Look at Loki. John Romita Jr., another inked John Romita Jr. drawing that he inked. It's good stuff, man. Good inker for himself. I'd love to see an entire issue inked by him. I don't know why he can't pull it off. Just do it, bro. Do it. If he does the Smug and Bimbo, ink it all, too. That's your baby. That's good stuff, man. Sweat beads. Look at that. Fire. John Romita Jr. Deathstroke. Pretty damn cool. It's probably not that clear on here. It looks a little blurry to me. Punisher looks a little too thin there. Also, Venom looks a little too thin. I don't know what's going on here. A little off. Black Panther. Way too thin for Wolverine, I think. He's short and stocky. Okay, this one. We'll stop here tonight, guys. But look at this. This is John Romita Jr. Was it Danny Mickey? Guys, this is really... He took a lot of care here. The face is good. Handsome, strong. Look at this. The cape flopping over his body. The way it would be if he's twisting and turning, looking back. This is good stuff, man. This is good stuff. Really good. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. Porcon says the Silent Issues was an initiative under Casado's tenure in early 2000s. Yeah, I do remember that. And some of them were good, some better than others. Clearly the artists, that was the artist month, really, where they can kick ass to show their bona fides when it comes to storytelling. And John Romita Jr.'s story was good, with Aunt May discovering that Peter was Spider-Man. Porcon said, "Do you remember John Romita Jr.'s run on Starburn?" I do, and I loved it, and I have it. Jim Shooter, there's a story behind that entire New Universe thing where Jim Shooter was looking to make a real splash, right? And they said, 25th anniversary of Marvel, why don't we try to make a new universe? And their idea was that they were going to cancel all the books, start a universe, and then relaunch all of the superheroes with modern touches, like Man of Steel, with a modern, all the superheroes. And then it didn't work, and then he thought about the new universe, right? And he had it all lined up, and he was given a certain amount of money to do that. And then right before he was about to launch it, the hires up, "Hey, did you spend that money?" He goes, "No." "Okay, no, don't do it. He couldn't get any artists. He got a lot of young artists who were just breaking in. And John Romita Jr., being the mensch that he is, said, "Jim, I'll draw it," because he knew he was in a bind. He goes, "Come on, man. You don't have to come." He goes, No. Let me draw it. So he did about 6 issues, and they were great. Written by Jim Shooter, penciled by John Romita Jr., and inked by Al Williamson. Hey, guys, this is good stuff. And they were good. Well done. Whether the character, is a lifer, probably not. But, man, they did a hell of a job doing the best that they could under the circumstances. And the circumstances were not good. He was under the gun at that point and let go not long after that. Then came back with a vengeance with Valiant. And then, of course, hires up again. I want Jim Shooter to enter crowdfunding. I just want him to get out there and make some comics and kick ass. The guy's great. He loves comics. He's been doing it for longer than most people. He started at 13. He's, I think, 70 now, I believe. He still does the convention circuit. I love his interviews on there. I just saw one, a little while back, and I rewatched parts of it, which I had a little video. Check it out if you haven't seen it, guys. It was another live stream of Jim Shooter. Just a little opening where he was talking about how he was blasting the idea of, yeah, we're both right, we're both wrong, the truth is in the middle, or whatever. No. That's how the bad guys win, as he put it. If you're right about something, big or small, important or not, you should stick to your guns and call out the one who's wrong. Porcon says that John Romita's senior pose piece needs to be a statue. There were so many poses that he did that could be a statue. Absolutely could. Flated One says, a couple of months back, I got several Star Brand, Spitfire, and other Marvel Universe out of the dollar bin. Was a good haul. Some real gems there. Yeah, man. Tony Salmons did, what was it, guys? Tony Salmons, Archie Goodwin did something there. Tony Salmons is a hell of an artist, too. And I found out recently that, he seems to be on the right, at least on Facebook. He was loving my stuff. Messaging me about my work, about Pigman and Muhammad and stuff, and hell of an artist, man. I don't remember the comic. I'm trying to think. I knew the costume was all black with a cape. I think the guy had a mask, a black mask. Don't remember it. Someone here will probably remember, but also he did what was it, guys? Tony Salmons drew a comic, stylish, spy, really good. Marvel's New Universe really reminded me of 80s primetime TV shows. I mean, it was good. Silent Period was when John Romita Jr. started changing faces. Is that right? DP7, I remember that as well. Porcon Shooter's not well. I think he's been in hospital, likely from smoking. Is that the case? I never saw him smoking. Is that the case, Porcon? Shadow something, yeah. Flated One says, Shadow something, he had powers in Dreamland. Something along those lines. Correct. The more of the interesting, but again, Starbrand to me was, I guess, Shooter's modern take about Superman type thing, but completely different. An average Joe works as a mechanic in Pittsburgh and being taken as, gets the star brand, which makes him almost all powerful. But when he loses his confidence, he tends to lose his power and so on. And again, drawn by John Romita Jr., inked by Al Williamson, written by Jim Shooter. Loved it. And I stopped buying it after it left because it wasn't as good. And then John Byrne came back and I guess got his revenge on Shooter. He was a real asshole about Shooter. Shooter, he's lucky that Shooter was there when he was doing his best work. John Byrne, he's lucky. Frank Miller seems to understand that these days when he all speaks favorably of Shooter. Porcon says, yep, Shooter has those smoker craters in his cheeks. Huh. Night Mask, Flatey One. Boom. That's exactly right. Night Mask. Archie Goodwin and Tony Salmons. Tony Salmons is a very interesting artist. Goes a little off kilter sometimes in terms of the anatomy, but it's just fun and organic and very real. It looks like he's drawing these things as if they're in front of him, like a modeling class, like in art school that I used to go to, like in a SVA, where you have the model right in front of you. Something about it, something very present about it, and very unique. It doesn't do. You'll never see him, swipe. Let's just say, guys, pleasure as always. Thanks for being here, especially on a Saturday night, and thanks Flatey again for recommending the broth, which I got a few more nice chunks of today. Feel normal. I'm not sniffling or anything. Not perfectly clear, but a lot clearer than I was yesterday. And no dripping. So appreciate it, guys. You be well. You take care. And until next time. Thanks, guys. So we left it off here at this drawing so I can continue with the rest. I just want to see how many more we have here. We got a lot more that I want to go through for John Romita Jr. and his father. John Romita Jr. and his father. Who were, and again, I really hope the best for John Romita Jr. I hope he really kicks ass and, does his full work without worrying about the deadline stuff. Do some more laid back work and see you next stream when Gingus as well. Night, Flatey. Appreciate it. Again, thanks for that tip. I would have forgotten it probably. Sometimes I am absent-minded. Porcon says, love Tony Salmon's style, but he's burned out. He's burned a lot of people. He doesn't fulfill paid for commissions. Huh. Okay. That sucks. Unfortunate. Ciao, Jay. Thanks, Porcon. Appreciate it. Guys, take care, man. Be well. You guys take care. Thanks. Porcon, definitely 2 more streams at least. And then I got some other stuff. I got a whole load. I got all these Alex Toth short stories because he did a lot of short stories for Creepy and Eerie and a lot of other stuff. So, there's a lot of content for a long time. Alistair says, where are you launching Pigman? CG Kings or your own channel? I don't know. I'll see. I hope to launch it maybe on my own channel and then maybe Kings, then maybe, John seems to be interested in Pigman. He seems to be very complimentary about the idea, which is awesome. Hopefully maybe on the Kings, maybe the after show of Kings. I'll reach out to him at a certain point because I'm going a little back and forth with Luke at from my comic. I was able to get past a hurdle, which I couldn't get past until the other day. I was like, okay, awesome. I can do that. And now I just got to finish up some of the covers, get it out there and think about some, backups and tiers. And again, I'm looking at some of the other King stuff and seeing what they do and what works. For now, I might not get because I see like Billy. He has a lot of stuff for his current thing. And that's great. He's a master at this. I don't know if I can do that right now. I got to keep it, I think pretty simple. But again, I'm all ears. Send me messages. Give me any tips. Anything you guys. Yeah, he does, Flatey. He was very cool. He says, here's my text. Here's my number. Anytime. Very, very cool. Very helpful. So awesome. Alistair, I'll figure that out. I let him know. I think last week on Kings, I I was busy working, but I sent in a super chat and just let him know about that. Sean Allen, GG's, CG, Bosch, Kangs. GG's, what does that mean, Sean? Not sure. If you want to elaborate, just quick before I leave. But I'm thinking, again, I don't want to presume anything. These guys, if they're willing to do it, great. If they're willing to do it, awesome. Some of them might not be willing to. I think Ethan's pretty damn, cool about this. He doesn't really care. And I respect that. I'm there because he doesn't care. He's like, hey, man, you do good stuff. That's it. You'll be on here. And he doesn't care about the heat that. And clearly, think about this also, guys. Just one more thing. I don't think that any of the Kings have gotten the heat for having me on there. I don't think they have. They shouldn't, but I don't think they have. So that tells you something about the nature of what we were facing also. It's like, it's not a death sentence. People try to tell me it's a death sentence. I'm alive. I've been drawing Muhammad now for 20 years. 20 years. Over 700 times. I'm still here. That could change tomorrow, but good games, GG. Okay, thanks, man. Good games, CG, Bosch, Kangs. What's good games, by the way? Is that a stream? Is that a... Don't know. Sorry. I'm learning all this stuff, guys. But anyway, I appreciate it, guys. You take care. Be well. Maybe write it in the comments on YouTube if you want, Sean. But again, guys, take care. Be well. Thanks for being here. Always appreciate it. Take care. Good night.